You have found To All the Cars I've Loved Before, your authoritative podcast on automotive nostalgia, where every car tells a story and every car has a culture. It's time to plug in, dust off, and get a little grease under the nails and slip on that favorite car-themed shirt. Speaking of, my co-host, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Great to be back here with you.
You put the frump in frump-tacular, my friend. I dig that shirt. Can you stand up?
Well, if I stand
Let's
up,
get it. Well, okay, yeah.
There you go.
Look at this. Now he is wearing what looks like an olive drab. Oh, that's pretty slick. It's the blueprint of the DeLorean.
Yep.
Those are is that DeLorean's patent?
Those are patent
the company's
pictures.
Patent?
Yep.
I love it. Of the DMC, what, 12?
DMC 12.
Yes.
Do you know what the 12 stood for?
12th bankruptcy he'd been through.
No.
12th wife. What? I don't know.
No. It was supposed to cost $12,000.
Is that true?
It is.
That's
It
fantastic.
ended up costing about double that, but...
Well, yeah, Cars and startups, what can you say? It's probably the same for Bricklin, his precursor. Goals. Indeed. Yeah, 2X goals. Oh, and speaking of movies, what was you saw a movie recently, and how did that go?
Yeah. So
Gran Turismo.
For background, my son likes video games, not necessarily driving games, but just video games.
Yep.
And there's another YouTuber besides the one we're going to talk to today, who Amelia Hartford, who was in Gran Turismo, and her YouTube channel is pretty good. She has some cool cars on there. So I told my son about it, and he said, "Oh, Gran Turismo is based on a true story." I'm like, "No way!" And the short plot of it is that Sony, via their PlayStation, decided in whatever year it was, early mid 2000s, that they were going to do a contest for the best drivers on the game and take, I don't know, 8, whatever, and give them a chance to become drivers for Nissan. And true story. The guy in it, his name is Jan.
So there's hope for my son, is what you're saying. My youngest son, who never comes out of his room to be a professional driver.
Yeah,
but please continue.
Just get him the whole setup. Indeed. So they ended up driving everything, and the star of it. Well, the real person actually played Jan. He actually played the stunt driver, I believe, in the movie. But I didn't know the name of the star, but Orlando Bloom was in it. It was I think 2022 or 2023.
Yeah,
it's a great movie.
Yeah, it got good reviews. It looked like the typical summer action popcorn stuff, but it actually was pretty well reviewed. I meant to see it. It wasn't in the theaters long here, so I will have to check it out.
And there is a new movie coming out with Brad Pitt. I think it's called F1, which I'm looking forward to seeing as well. Not based on a video game as far as I know, but Gran Turismo, big surprise. I thought it was going to be about gaming. It was not. So...
coming to a small screen near you. Speaking of small screens, let's chat a little bit about our website that you have done some pretty wonderful work on. It's actually going through version 2. We got an outside consultant, actually a gentleman based in Nigeria. Fantastic guy, super smart, backing us up. And it might be out by the time you hear this episode.
I think it will be. Carslove.com.
Carslove.com. Check us out. And one last mention before we go to new users and then pivot to our guests today. Our YouTube, we've been doing more and more on YouTube thanks to your amazing graphic editing skills.
I'm only getting better.
Indeed.
It's still a long way to go. Thank you.
Well, it's good. That's a plus when you start from the bottom. But so are we still trying to post we were posting every other day, but that was a lot. But it's coming out.
Yeah, pretty often. There happens to be a 2025 Dodge Charger Daytona electric vehicle at the dealer near me. So I was actually going to roll.
You gave it the walk around. Yeah, I like
maybe
that.
Tonight and do a better walk around video, and we'll put that out there. So it's fun.
Love those. Thank you.
It's great because there's nobody there at night.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it's fantastic when you break into places. That tends to happen.
Well, it's
new listeners. Welcome. Hey, we have some new listeners. My favorite part of the show. So we were right. The people listening from Japan were from Tokyo. We took a guess there. Welcome new listeners in Reykjavik, Iceland. We continue to have people in Dribbles and Drabs listening from Paris and let's see, where else? Ontario, Canada. Welcome. Reach out to us. I'm Christian at carslove.com. He is Doug at carslove.com. Lastly, Kuwait City. And that's not Kuwait City in Arkansas, Kuwait City in Kuwait, other side of the world. Welcome, welcome. Please reach out. If you like what you're hearing, please do give us a review. Positive if you can. Please be honest, but please be positive. On Apple Podcasts is typically where people are hitting us up. But where else are we, Doug? We're on
Spotify,
Castro,
all the top podcasts.
Yeah, you can even find us on the AM dial. I mean, we're everywhere. You wouldn't believe it.
Or the best way to find everything, including all the platforms, is go to our link tree, which is
linktr.ee/carslove. Do we call it our digital switchboard? But you can, hey, everything we're up to, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, our social security numbers. Yep, everything is there. You will not want to miss it. Well, on to today's guest. I'm really excited. And before I hand over to Doug to tell you how we cross paths, I want to say that we've had tandems on the show here in the past. We've had father-son. We've had mentor-protege, actually a couple of shows at the collegiate level, which should be published out there. Weber State, one of our shows here. I've interviewed my son for the show, and he talked about driving. He's in the Army Reserves, talked about his driving a Humvee. He had a blast doing that. And so we have a father. This is so unique today, and we're so pleased. We have a father-daughter combination who has this really interesting family business and a YouTube show. They couldn't be more interesting, more fun, more talented, or have more zany, positive energy. Caroline and James, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Hey, how are you guys?
Okay, and now you look bundled up. How cold are you in that man cave turned garage turned studio turned?
It's like 65 in here. It's not bad.
Not too bad.
Oh my God. That's giving me the chills here in Florida, man. In the Florida Panhandle, it gets lower than 70, and I put on a parka. That's how I do it. But you look great. You sound great. And before we get your backstory, Doug, how did this duo end up on the radar?
Yeah. So let's see. I want to say it was in December. I had some terrible cold. So what did I do? I sat around, watched YouTube videos about cars.
Grow the brand.
Yeah. And it's when I discovered HH Wheels or HH Wheels Productions with Caroline and James, and reached out to Caroline via either direct email or the form on their website. I believe it's hhwheelspro.com. And Caroline nicely replied back. I asked them to be on the podcast, especially given the theme of father-daughter and trying to do more family themes. And she so kindly replied, and we exchanged a few emails, and here we are.
Yeah, and out there in listener land, if you want to put a smile on your face, go to youtube.com, type in HH Wheels, and these videos, you get short ones or long ones, and it's so much fun. Great production values, too. This stuff should be on TV, which I'm sure it will be one day. But how did this idea come into your head? Caroline or James, take it away. How did it happen? Hi, this is Christian with To All the Cars I've Loved Before, your authoritative podcast on automotive nostalgia. Hey, have you ever thought to yourself, I love this show so much, I wish it would come out weekly instead of bi-weekly? Well, guess what? You asked, we answered. Henceforth, that means from now on, you're going to get a piping hot new episode of To All the Cars I've Loved Before, weekly instead of bi-weekly. How do you like that? We will see you on your mobile telephone streaming device of choice weekly from now on.
I mean, I'll happily break the ice on this one. So originally, we kind of just met in a very serendipitous way, which I'm sure we'll talk about later. But he was in his shop working on a 70 Charger, and I was kind of bugging him here and there, kind of wanted to help out because I've always been a naturally born, mechanically inclined human being. And he was kind of like, nah, like, there's no place for that, whatever. Not so much the fact of being a woman. It was just really like, it was his man cave. It was his thing. He wanted to figure it out. I also think he was in here throwing a wrench or two because he couldn't get the thing to run. But neither nor there. Anyways, so I started hanging around. I kept bugging him, and eventually just kind of grew into, all right, fine, hand me that wrench. Okay, put this carburetor on, whatever. And it was kind of like sweep the floors. And I was just happy to be there. And eventually it kind of just grew into this idea of, okay, I know you have this background in graphic design and freelance editing, which I carried for a good while. And he's like, well, I've always wanted to do a TV show. So we got this wild hair one day. We were talking about this dream car we'd both love to have. And I remember it like it was yesterday. It's one of my favorite memories that I'm sure I will cherish for the rest of my life. But we're sitting here wrenching on this 72 Charger. And in the TV or the shop TV, there was the video of Richard Petty's 71 Roadrunner, all blue, race card out. And I was like, that's a cool car. And he's like, yeah, I would absolutely adore to own one of those.
Let me intervene real quick. By the way, YouTube was on 24/7 in our shop.
Not to mention, yeah.
Like all the time. So, we're completely getting, our inspiration as we're making this go. We're watching stuff and getting inspiration.
It was greasing the wheels for sure. So we're getting these ideas and we're seeing all these people all over YouTube. And thankfully our playlist was pretty diverse. And we got all these ideas. And then a week later, before I knew it, this guy's looking at 71 satellites and 71 Roadrunners. And, they're in Alabama or they're Mississippi or whatever. And we knew somebody who had a semi-professional camera, like, all right, let's bring the cameras. Maybe we'll film it. Maybe not. Let's go on this road trip. So we go on this road trip, film the whole thing. We have a friend of ours at the time, edit it and turn it into this video. And we're like, okay, let's just run with this. And we kept up this whole production and we went with this whole Mad Max vibe of it all. And we rallied a bunch of people in our town for the first month or two because we really wanted to have our own URL. So on YouTube, you have to have at least 100 subscribers and be like 30 days old. I think that's still the same parameters. But anyways, we rallied around and we're like, okay, we'll release the YouTube video after we have a real URL because nobody wants to go to youtube.com/-RK,
Indeed.
To establish ourselves in the best way or put our best foot forward. So that's kind of where it all started. And we released one episode and we're like, okay, cool, got 1,000 views. Like, that's so awesome. Let's release the next one. And then this
is why you have to have someone young in your group, because
good point.
I'm only just now starting to kind of understand what she just said. I mean, technologically, I'm not the computer guy. So having her be able to transmit all this and go to YouTube, I was told to go on YouTube a long time ago. I just didn't know how.
No, you did understand branding. So you knew
I totally understand branding.
That having our URL was the best way to kickstart this thing. And we're like, okay, we came up with all these hypotheticals of what if we fall flat on our faces, or what if we grow instantly, or like all these different scenarios. And we're like, we'll just figure it out as it goes. And at the time, we were kind of like just messing around because we were at the height of the COVID lockdown and we weren't going anywhere. We weren't doing anything. And there were plenty of the cars around us. And we were also at the point of buying more that we're like, all right, well, this is a good way to socially distance ourselves.
Which we did. In the shop.
And that's so interesting because you seem the perfect creative duo, the two of you, and you seem to fit each other, where one has experience, the other has, you have all the skills that alternatingly need. And that's the way Doug and I are on this podcast. with each other. Like there's no way I could do what he does, and I bring my own special sauce to the mix. So talk for a little bit, if you would, about being creative partners and your ability to kind of fit with each other.
I definitely want to start this because the one thing that I noticed from the get-go is the vision that he's always had for anything he does. So when where he's fabricating metal, or he's putting together a bicycle, or the most impressive to me is really when he sees a video in his brain, and sometimes it's hard for him to properly articulate it all because there's all these crazy great ideas like flowing through his brain. So just watching him do it has always been something that has inspired the living heck out of me, because I feel like I have pretty good creative skills in some places, but the visualization is really a highlight and a skill that he carries. And I don't necessarily say that I don't carry, but I think he carries for the team here, where he can give me the idea and give me the play-by-play of what he's thinking. And then my creative brain comes in to where I'm like, okay, this is how it's going to be edited. This is going to be the music we're going to use. This is how I'm going to make it look. We have it shot. So it's really cool because, like you were saying, with your relationship, ours is very similar to where if he doesn't do something, I do it. Or a lot of times, even in the shop, he does things that I learned so much from. And then there's things like when it comes to powder coating and Cerakoting, something that has been self-taught, or I've self-taught myself, he picks up, and or in a project or a build, he puts that responsibility on me. He takes over something else.
I think that's more what it is. I'm like, oh, Caroline can powder coat this. Wait, Caroline prepared this up for me. She's
something else, man. You open up these videos and just like, oh my gosh, she cracked that transmission open. She's pulling this and then I see her out in a paint splattered shirt. She's expertly putting this. It's almost hypnotic to watch when somebody's gets that paint line going and back and forth. Just good stuff. She can do it all. So James, do you agree with what she said? You think she's got something here?
Absolutely. Yeah. She's, I've been dissecting, this was a dream of mine, to be, do a TV show or something that, for a long, long time. Since we were kids, we go to the movies and, we want to be in the movies or, write a movie or do something along those lines. With my buddy, one of my best friends out in California, we used to talk about it all the time, and we still do. We still do talk about, oh, this would make a great movie, or this would do, it would be fun to shoot this way or that way. We still have those conversations, but anyway, when she's talking about vision, I've spent probably, like you guys, over the last 10 to 15 years watching other shows. Mm-hmm. I don't just watch the show when I watch if I watch a TV show or I watch another YouTube show, I'm watching how they shot it. And I'm wondering how that made, like, why am I interested in this? And I constantly analyzing that video and holy crap, I just watched this for an hour and a half. Why am I so into this? And so I look at that video in a different way, as if I was shooting it from a camera and visualizing myself shooting it as a camera. And that's, I think, where a lot of that comes from. Talking about, where I'm visualizing how this is going to look on camera when we're shooting. And then she takes it and goes, oh, when I edit it down, she takes it and goes, I see this now, and then makes it just so much better because she can put the right music to it. She puts the right voiceover on it.
Yes.
What's going on when we're doing something, or if we're doing in fast motion, showing our work and showing what's happening and why. She can explain that to our audience. And again, I was talking to you guys earlier about, you can listen to her voice all day long. It's fantastic.
Very pleasing. Very pleasing.
She's got a radio voice.
Absolutely.
Been saying that. It's kind of like yours, Christian.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you for that.
That's what we have Christian for.
That's all I bring to the table.
No,
man. I'm not just a pretty face, but I will tell you, and I told you this when we were talking before. Thank you for your kind words. But the production values of your show, just off the charts. you both have this really warm chemistry that works. I mean, for my money, it's just as good, if not better, than anything on TV. So I think you guys just keep shipping, keep putting it out there, and you are destined for greatness. So if Doug doesn't have anything else here, let's climb into the nearest DeLorean, go 88 miles an hour, back to where it all happened. If it's okay with Caroline, I would like to start with James. Let's talk about James's first car. Where did you get it? Where did it come from? And what was it?
66 Mustang, jacked up in the back.
Oh, wow.
Match on, or the wheels did not match on it. I remember that. It was probably as close to Joe Dirt as you could probably get in a 289 automatic. Again, the air shocks in the back were key. The wheels were too big to fit into the wheel wells. I remember this. And I mean, I specifically remember doing donuts in that thing and just having the biggest smile on my face doing it. I got it by working. I worked in a restaurant, and the chef at the restaurant, I was a dishwasher. He kind of sold it to me on a, give me $100 every 2 weeks kind of thing. And, that's how I got it. And it was a time in the 80s where you could buy a muscle car that was fully functioned, not rusted out, for $2,000. I mean, buy that 68 Camaro or that 66 Mustang, or, I mean, heck, Dodge Chargers, man. You could buy my brother bought a 69 Dodge Charger for $500, in 1996. I mean, so, those times, and I think that's where I got my influence from, with both my brothers. At the time, I have two older brothers that I was living in New Mexico with, and one was a big Chevy guy. That's all he had was Chevys. He was race Chevy, a big Chevy truck. And then my other brother, he was a big Mopar guy, big Mopar and Ford. So he had Ford Mustangs and Dodges. So those guys would argue all the time about what was better. And I just took all that influence, and I think you see it in my shop. It's Mopar and Chevy, and I have one Ford, because I'm not a big Ford guy, but but I will say it's Mopar and Chevy pretty much. She'll attest to that.
Volkswagen
and Volkswagen, of course, which is that's
yeah. And hopefully this won't convey over the audio of the podcast, but they're sitting in over their shoulders. You can see this massive Goodyear banner, Continental tires, I think a Texaco sign up here. You'll see it if we get this up on the YouTube channel, but just love the shop.
That's their studio.
Everything.
You go on YouTube, you'll see it, and it's awesome.
Well, it started as a man cave, then became a shop, and now is a studio. And, and I guess now it's Caroline's cave. Speaking of Caroline, what was your first car?
My first cool car, first uncool car? That's a real question.
Well, let's leave no automobile behind, and let's hear about the uncool one too. We just won't spend a lot of time with it.
The first uncool one and the first real car I ever had was a 2001 Dodge Dakota truck, full extended cab. It was a good point A to point B car, but right around the point where it was ready to go, the control module on it decided to go out. So I was driving down the road, it would honk the horn randomly, the wipers would go off, or I'd be driving home at night, leaving my first job, and the lights would go on and off. So that one, I think it stuck around for probably about 2 or 3 years before eventually we sold it off to somebody who I hope fixed it. I'm not really sure.
So that's not your first cool car. Was your first cool car the car that followed the Dakota?
Partially. So at the time, I kind of just borrowed cars. I borrowed my brother's car. Then eventually, when I turned 18, I decided it was a good idea to go buy a financed vehicle. And then about a year after owning that, I got into a pretty solid accident with it, and they ended up totaling the car. So I went back to being carless. Didn't have a whole lot of money to my name, and I ended up getting a 1969 Ford Fairlane fastback that was pretty risky, but living on a 12 by 5 mile island going to work, it's not too terribly far. So it was a pretty solid point A to point B car. And that's really the car that got me into finding my passion for classic cars. I worked in restaurants at the time, and most of the restaurants around here will just have you park in their normal parking lot. Some places have you like park in the back or whatever, but everybody enjoyed it because it was a classic car in the parking lot of all these brand new cars. So I'd have people come up and leave notes on the car when I'm at work, or I'd be getting out because they'd see me roll.
Oh, wow.
They'd stop me and they'd start telling me about whatever. And the funny thing about this Fairlane is it wasn't badged as a Fairlane, or at least it wasn't openly out there. It just somebody stuck GT on the side of it. So people thought it was a Ford GT. Like whenever I got it was labeled as a Ford GT. So people are like, oh, I used to have a GT. And I'm like, did you?
I got to intervene here just slightly. Do you want to tell them what the nickname of this car was?
Well, so here's the funny thing. After driving it for about a year and him rescuing me because the thing always broke. I would either have power steering issues, the battery would die, or God knows what else, carburetor issues. And he'd always be the one I'd call to help me out. But it was so rusty that it got the nickname the soft shell crab because you put it on a lift, you have to have 4x4s running from front to rear and from driver to passenger. Otherwise, it basically like almost looked like it was melting over the lift, which
my goodness,
sounds like you're bragging. And I just I understand that this is not something to brag about. Okay. So the daily occurrence with this car as she showed up at the shop would be pieces missing off of it, like paint chips with large rust, holes,
flakes
coming off.
Weight reduction.
And I mean, she had duct tape in areas holding paint on and stuff. I mean, it was to the point where it was just unsafe. It was a parts car for somebody if they wanted to, but I mean, really, if she was, to get into an accident or T-boned or anything like that, the cars really are not that safe anyway from those days.
Right.
One that's that rusty and that soft. It's just,
But it looked great from like 50 feet away, and that's all that really mattered to me at the time.
She was cool for
50
really
footer.
Cool.
Yeah, and that's a big car.
Yeah.
And it was a 2-door, right?
Yeah, it was a 2-door.
Yeah, with really long, heavy doors, right?
Yeah, well, maybe not heavy anymore, but heavy enough. Also, the door latch didn't work very well.
They were getting lighter every day.
It did get lighter every day. Every time I'd take a pretty sharp, like right-hand turn, that whole door would fly open. It was, I think, why I sound like I'm bragging about it is because it's such a nostalgic vehicle for me now because of what it's brought me and how many cool people I've met and how I've kind of in a way rediscovered myself. And especially at that time in my life, being 18 now to 25, like my life has changed a lot, and that car was there for it. And it somehow got you to still put up with me, so I'm cool with that.
Yeah, but it's long gone.
I'm still in the hospital.
We're working
and you
on that, Rusty.
And you sold it, right? To fund your first business, which actually helped a lot with this business, right? There's a nice tie-in with your creativity.
Yeah, it at the time, like you said, it was kind of unsafe, and the guy who bought it, I'm surprised he bought it because he thought he was going to restore it. But I was like, if that's the path you want to go with it, I didn't have the means at the time, and I was ready to get out of working for other people and start my own first business in t-shirt printing. It kind of just, it worked out in such a great way. I can barely understand it to this day because it was just the most perfect scenario at that time. And right around then too, it also helped me live the lifestyle I needed to live and obviously put food on my table. And then initially kind of sprung me into where I am now. At the time, I was just kind of doing it and it kept growing and kept getting bigger and bigger. And right around that time too, we started really committing to the YouTube channel. And it really helped because we were able to create our own merch. And I have a background in graphic design. So it was this nice correlation of, okay, we can make the YouTube channel look pretty and we can make video graphics and, the whole 9 yards that go into it. I know you guys totally understand that. So, it was a really good blessing in disguise. At the time, it didn't seem like it, just felt like a very strange adventure. But now I definitely cherish those memories for sure.
So what was your second car? And then we have to ask James about his, because I think you guys were twins.
Twinning. The family chemistry
separated
goes
by
way
a
back.
few years.
Yeah, well, so my second car, I've been really wanting to get into building a vehicle because at that time I had been around enough people in the automotive industry or in the automotive hobby who were doing full restorations. I was watching him do it, and I was like, I just want my own car. Like, it's not that I didn't want to help anybody, but I wanted something that I could claim as my own and make my own. So I bought a 1974 Volkswagen Beetle in a small town, basically in central Georgia, and pulled the trigger. I'd saved up, like, every time I'd go to work, I'd save probably $50 and I'd just throw it in a shoebox. And eventually I was like, okay, this is going to be my car money for not a reliable vehicle, for a project vehicle. And one day I pulled the trigger on it because I made a stupid offer to a guy and he wanted to sell it that bad and bought it.
All unbeknownst to me.
Yeah, he had no idea, by the way. I showed up. I left at like 11 o'clock in the morning with another friend of ours and came back at like 9 o'clock, rolled it off the trailer. It barely ran. I barely knew how to drive stick at that point too. I was kind of just winging it. And he was along for the ride after that.
I was just like, oh, it's a Volkswagen, like, yeah. I mean, at that time, it was just like, oh, I'm all muscle car. I'm all about every muscle car out there. And, I'm like, it's a Volkswagen. But then, with the way it was a Volksrad, the way it was all set up, I started wrapping my head around it. And then seeing how passionate she was about the car, what are you going to do? You're going to support whatever she wants to get into. And now I'm really into the Volkswagen world. I never thought that I would be this much into the Volkswagen world.
Well, but it also started with your car too.
Your second car, right?
What, my second car?
And that was a Volkswagen, right?
Well, I mean, the funny thing was I'd sold my Mustang to get a crotch rocket motorcycle.
Right.
That's Top Gun, right? Everybody wanted a crotch rocket motorcycle because Tom Cruise. So I do that. Can't afford the insurance on it. So I ended up selling the motorcycle, and my next car, I had to get something that was affordable. And so we went, and my dad at the time, he's like, hey, there's a 1974 Super Beetle for sale in the Telencel or whatever it was at the town we lived in. And he's like, do you know how to drive stick? And I'm like, sure. And I was like 16, 17, something like that. And but this has all happened in like in a year's period of time. I had these 3 vehicles. But we go and look at it, $500. So it's $500 for this car. I drive that. Literally, I know how to ride a motorcycle. I come off motorcycles. You know how to do the clutch and all that. And I'd driven a stick before, but it had been a while. I was probably 14, So I drive it home, across town, get it home, we get it insured, all that stuff, get a plate on it, and I drive that for, I don't know, I think 2 years through my high school years, and I couldn't kill that car.
What color was it?
It was blue, and I'm not kidding you. I piled people in it. We partied in that car. It was really good. I jumped it a couple of times in the desert. Could not kill the car, but I had this. I don't know. I don't know that I didn't want to work on another Volkswagen. Like it was just kind of like, I don't even think I ever changed the oil in that car. Like I didn't work on cars. Or I was being a teenager. And so I don't know. It was, I probably should have kept it, hindsight, but I ended up selling that thing after 2 years. I ended up selling it for $500. So I drove 2 years and sold it for $500.
I mean, if we'd only knew to keep the fun ones, the ones that really reminded us of the great times. But, I guess sometimes in life, you don't know when you're going through a great time. And so that's why this show, I think, resonates with so many people because, man, I had such a great time in that car, such a great time in that car. So,
Christian, if I may, when Caroline was talking about the Fairlane, I just want to share this. I had a good friend in high school. So you mentioned somebody put GT on it. So I had this friend in high school. He had a Chevy Sprint, which was basically a Suzuki. And he had changed, I guess he had to replace the hatch. And it was a different color, the rear hatch. And he put all these different things on it. And I remember him telling me different labels of different cars. We used to walk around the junkyard sometimes after school, believe it or not. We probably should have been in school at that time, but
trying to pick up girls, I guess, in the junkyard. But go ahead.
That's the place to do it. But what he told me, he got like a parking ticket in the senior lot at school. I was 1 year older than him, and he's like, "Yeah, the ticket said it said all these different cars, and none of them was even my car because the guy just wrote down. He didn't know the principal didn't know anything about cars. He just wrote what he saw."
Well, that'll teach you.
When I got that speeding ticket, I asked the cop in a joking way when I saw him at the courthouse on my court date. I said, "Can I dispute the fact that this isn't my car?" And the guy just looked at me because I was like, "This isn't this car." I was being such a smart teenager.
Be careful with that because it's a very fine line between spending the weekend in the slammer and So we don't want that to happen to Caroline.
I want to touch on something now. 1974 Beetle today is much cooler than in 1986.
Good point. Very good point.
So understand me driving into the high school parking lot with a $500 1974 Super Beetle. Okay. Now, I was the only one there like this. Okay. If I didn't hustle out and get in my car, from class, if I got a teacher needed to talk to me for a little bit on our last class, I would come out and my bug would be bounced sideways by all my buddies.
Yeah.
So they picked it up and moved it.
Yeah. And I had to sit there and wait for the cars to move for me to be able to move. So understand, I was made fun of quite a bit with that bug. So maybe that's where, all that's long gone. I don't hold any ill will. I love those guys. I hope they get a good laugh out of that.
Now, let me ask, I love that. That is a fantastic story. Thank you for sharing. Now, what would have happened if you would have pulled in, instead of the Beetle, a 97 Viper? I think that would have gotten you way more street cred. Ooh. And we're going to move forward a little bit in time because I love this story. And you got to drop what you're doing. Go to YouTube. Type in HH Wheels and look at the Viper episode. I think it's a multi-episode arc. Do I have that right? Does it take several episodes to tell that story, or is it only in one?
Just one so far.
Just one. Okay, but
I'm number 2 right now.
Can y'all please talk about that? Because I love that episode. And how did it start? Where did it come from? And Caroline, can you tell that story? And James, hop in as needed.
Yeah, I think maybe if you give a little bit of backstory on why you've always wanted a Viper and how forever, or at least the last 5-6 years, it's felt like it's endless talk about how this Viper is his Mount Everest. And it's this big hill or this big mountain he wants to climb. And that stuck with me ever since he mentioned it. But if you give a little bit details of why you've always wanted a Viper, I think me explaining how I found a Viper will definitely.
Yeah, since 96, when they came out with the GTS, that was the car that, was something that was unattainable for me. In 96, I was 26 years old, really new in my business, never, living paycheck to paycheck, not really knowing if my business was going to succeed or fail. You're in that mode, that first 10 years of it, and I'm just busting my tail and just working. And
right,
so,
right.
you know, going through life, raising kids, you don't really have an extra, $50,000 to throw down on a vehicle. And so, you don't finance a vehicle like that either. If you're going to have toys, they have to be able to be outright purchased, and then you're the caretaker. You're not, in my opinion, a car like that. I mean, I got to the point where I could certainly have gone and finance something like that, but it doesn't make sense to be, to be doing that. That's just not smart money. I mean,
didn't quite fit your life at the time, to be sure. Yeah.
yeah. So, as I got older, I think 2017, I got really serious about thinking that I'm going to invest in one of these Vipers, and I want a 96 or 97 GTS. And I don't really care about the color. And at the time, I didn't really think of condition being, I probably wanted, at the time in 2017, you could have bought a GTS for like $50,000. I didn't have a spare 50,000 at that time. I was still kind of coming out of trying to figure out my business and stepping away and trying to figure out how to sell it, that kind of thing. It took several years. I mean, we got into, 6 years later, actually, before I could sell my business, and it was the right time and that kind of stuff. But I told my wife that my deal is, when I sell my business, that I want to get a Viper. I just want to have a Viper. From 2017 to 2023, they doubled in price. Should have bought it back in 2017, and then I would have had something that was worth the investment, that kind of thing.
Which I've got a huge earful about on a regular basis.
Well, it was for 6 years. I mean, I've been really serious about, we need to buy a Viper. I got to buy a Viper. We got to buy,
planting the seed.
Yes, the right one just never came along. And every year in like January, February, he and my stepmom would take an RV trip out west. They go see family. They go hang out. Like they go live it up for 2 months, especially when he had his bicycle business. It was a really good way to kind of relax, because that was the absolute low point of our tourist season. So it was a good time to leave the island. And this I feel like is a perfect example of perfect timing, because I had just joined, I think it was the Viper Owners or Viper Club America, basically, on Facebook. And they put all kinds of stuff on there. People working on their cars for sale, whatever.
Yeah.
And there was this post. So this car that I ended up purchasing was in the comments of a post. It wasn't even an actual post. So this guy was talking about, it was a wrecked Viper, and he was looking for basically a body that he could put his power plant into. And somebody had shared this car. So this car apparently had been previously posted on Facebook Marketplace. I can't remember how long back. But anyway, someone shared this post about it still being on Facebook Marketplace. And it was truly the worst looking 97 Viper GTS I'd ever seen. It's blue, has the white stripes, but the headlights are murdered out. The taillights are murdered out. The interior's a little kind of ragged on. It's got 140,000+ miles on it, which
wow,
is unheard of, because most people, they drive it, sure, but most of the people who drive their Vipers have less than 50,000 or just hit 50,000. Right. Like 100,000 miles plus was unheard of on a Viper. Yeah. So that's why they chose this, because the body itself was in great shape, but the motor power plant was just undesirable, and just, it didn't make sense. I think the guy also had turboed and did a bunch of crazy stuff to the one that he wrecked. So I saw this and I reach out to the guy. This guy's up in Minnesota. We're down here in South Carolina, and I'm talking to him back and forth for like a month or two. And I'm thinking, okay, I don't have the funds to put down on a Viper, but I bring it up to my stepmom and I'm like, hey, he just sold his business. This is something you want to do. What do you think? And she really helped out a lot with the money side of things. And ironically, while they were on that road trip, this all came about. He went and looked at a couple Vipers. There's this one guy. Where's Andy? He's in Arizona?
Beaumont, Texas, or whatever. But meanwhile,
nowhere close to you.
He's looking at Vipers.
No, I'm making like detours on the trip out west to go and look at Vipers on the way out to Tucson.
Oh, you got it bad, man. You got the fever bad.
So I'm like, well, I just sold the business. I'm like, we're doing this, I'm gonna get my Viper. And so I'm trying to figure out
He's trying to make it work.
I'm trying to figure out, okay, we can buy a bad Viper and go and road trip at home, me and Caroline.
Oh, he's also trying to make a whole production out of it.
So I'm thinking in my mind, I only want to get a Viper if we can make content with it. That's my whole process. Like, we get a Viper, we'll buy it out west and we'll road trip at home and we'll catalog all that and make content with it. So that's my whole.
Mind you, I'm over here stewing the pot. And this is why I was like, I need to let my stepmom know that she cannot let him buy a Viper like that.
Right.
No matter what.
She's a good force of nature. She'll just be like, that's a no, and it's not happening. So thankfully he was easily swayed by that. Or what she did is she did like subliminal commenting where it was like, oh, it's not that cool. I feel like
we can do better. We can do better.
For a 55-year-old man, this is gonna like she laid it on thick.
She did really good.
It was great. Anyway, so I'm bringing this whole idea to fruition. Then I'm like, trying to talk to this guy about, hey, we want to film it for a YouTube, and then we get in this whole conversation. This guy has a background in production, and like this took like 2 months almost to make this entire thing happen. So I got really lucky, and thankfully, when my dad's on his RV trip, he doesn't really keep tabs on me. Like when we're working together, it's always like, hey, can we come to shop at this time? Like we have a schedule. But at this time, we were just like doing our own thing, separate human beings. So I made the deal. I gave the guy a deposit. And then what happened is this huge snowstorm hit Minnesota. So all the travel plans and everything got postponed. And I was talking to my now fiance and I was like, we have to drive this home for 2 reasons. Content, because my dad will kill me if I buy this car without telling him and not make a video of it. Second of all, I want to have 1,500 more miles in a Viper than my dad. So we ended up setting the whole deal up. And this guy was like, you want to do what? And I was like, yeah, it's fine. So we fly to Milwaukee. And then we ended up getting a rental car. Drove 2 hours north, bought the car.
It's all on the show, by the way. This is all on the show. Yeah.
Bought the car, paid for it, the whole thing. And then we drove it all the way home to South Carolina on 2 bad tires and 2 new tires that do not fit the car.
Amazing you're still here, by the way. But yeah, so there is that. Well,
the thing is, I don't like the cold. I'm kind of mentioning what we talked about before. Being in South Carolina, anything cold I don't like. They had a freaking warm winter up there. So although there was snow on the ground, it wasn't slick. It wasn't super icy, which kind of sucked for some people there. But for us, it was great. So making it home wasn't too bad, other than the fact that we're like trying to scrub all the black paint off the headlights. I mean,
doing what you can.
It's a miracle that we made it home in one piece. But then not to mention, I still had like another 2-3 weeks to hide the car at my house in my garage. And where we live, word gets out pretty fast. So I couldn't drive the car. Anything. I literally had to hide this thing until he got home. And then I remember calling him and saying, hey, I bought a car, because before we left, we made a pact. We're not buying any cars. Like, not going to happen. Okay. And he has his whole temper tantrum. And then all of a sudden I roll up to the house and he's just speechless. And it's just, it was so much fun. It was man,
like, you're giving me the goose flesh here. Golly, you got to go see this episode. You got to go see this episode.
I need one of my kids to do that for me. My God.
Yeah, you got me. Hey, by the way, she bought 3 cars while I was gone.
Oh, well, that'll teach you to make a pact with that one.
A Viper made up for it, okay?
Viper made up.
I'm sure.
Water under the bridge.
Let's not go any further. Let's tell all of our viewership and listenership to go check it out on YouTube. Let's pivot to Caroline. And Doug wanted to ask you about your 356. Can we get into that just a little bit? Doug, was there anything specific, or did you just want her to? Did we want to sit back and let her regale us of the tale?
Yeah. I believe she sold or traded a Volkswagen Thing for it. So with that, Caroline, tell us about it.
Well, yeah, I did actually. That I had bought this. That was one of the cars I bought.
Oh, yeah.
One of those 3 that we just talked about. Because it came up for sale and I was like, we'll just go look at it. Like, it's close by. I've been wanting one and I bought it, and then I did a full restoration on it.
Yeah.
And we went out to California and I saw this 356 from a mutual friend who used to run a car show I used to go to. And he had this 356 that an older gentleman had basically given him. He unfortunately had stage 4 cancer, so he's looking for someone to give the car to, kind of thing. And my friend, he is having a baby, and it just didn't make sense to jump into another full restoration. So he offered it up for trade on Facebook because he does a lot of off-roading kind of stuff. And this thing that I built and pretty much finished was just the ideal car. And I know he was specifically looking for a thing. So I kind of just put some feelers out there. I was like, let's just a little shot in the dark. I've always wanted to own a 356 ever since I was a little kid. Like even before I was into classic cars, it was like the car I wanted to have at my wedding. And when I came up to this car and it popped up, we had another mutual friend who's just finished building one and he owns a few. And I don't know, at the time, it was just kind of this weird gray area where I was like, okay, can't get too excited, but I'm excited. And I was like, I'm not betting on it. Like, I'm just not thinking about it. I was not letting myself bask in any glory until that car was in my possession in my own garage or shop. So eventually it all came to fruition and now we have it. And it's still unreal to me every time I walk into my shop to see it because we talked about how the Viper was his Mount Everest. I don't even know if this is like my Antarctica. It's so I didn't even think I was gonna see this at this point in my life. So I feel incredibly blessed to not only have the means to be able to build it, but also have it in my possession.
Yeah, because, they're $10,000 to $20,000 for a kit, and
then the real ones are millions of dollars. So it's one of those things that was just like, I just never thought that this would be in my world right now.
And go ahead, Doug.
Oh, I was going to say, you mentioned your fiance. Will the car be ready for your wedding?
That's the goal.
Awesome. Love
Great answer. Love that answer.
Yeah.
Now, a few things, but we are going to be pretty hot and heavy on it in the next few weeks. So you'll see some episodes coming out on that. 356 and
just the buying and then the episode where it's up and Caroline's like, well, this is rusted, like it made me think it's your next soft shell crab, right?
Well, the funny thing is we talked about it when I had mentioned it to him, and some of our friends in California at the time were like, you need to own that car. And we just looked at the pictures of the body and we're like, even if everything underneath it is completely roached out, the body worth the trade. And we're like,
right, agreed.
Yes. We went into it with the lowest expectations. So I think we were moderately pleased. And then when we got there, we're like, are we actually going to own this? Like, is this?
Got to do it.
Yeah.
Then we had the same, locked up motor and transmission problem that we had with the Oval. I mean, so we went through some locked up. I think we went through 3 vehicles in a row with locked up engines that we had to take out and boat anchor them out the back door.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's been kind of interesting. You got to have some spare engines hanging around your shop for sure to do what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
We like to get the cars running and driving as quickly as possible.
Absolutely.
Show people that you can do this. And I think that's what our whole part about Get Wrenching is our motto, and I think another reason there was at a point where we were thinking, why are we doing this again? And and I was like, well, it's not just to see us on YouTube. It's more to motivate people to get in their garages and actually get out in the garages, get wrenching. You can do this. If we can do this, you certainly can do this. Because
I think that's the fun thing about trading too, is this is something we've never explored ever, really. We've talked about it. We've tossed it around with even mutual friends, and it's just never really come to fruition like this. So it's kind of cool to see like this dopey little Volkswagen thing that I was pretty blessed to not have a ton of money into, to trade for something that is so meaningful to us and to me, is wild.
Equity. We had a lot of sweat equity in that vehicle, so there was not a lot of cash. We're very car rich and cash poor right now. I think we're like at 33 cars. 34 cars. So
whoa.
Yeah. So we have plenty of cars to make content with, so we're kind of not.
You do.
We need to trade out. We need to, if we look at another car, we have to try to get rid of one in order to be able to make room for it here. And I have another lot somewhere. When I live on an island, so we have another lot that we are storing cars at. So it's
Goodness.
not. So
The disease.
yeah.
But you don't want the cure.
Nope.
Well said.
I dig it. Well, this was just so much fun. Thank you for spending some time with us. And it was just really a pleasure, Caroline and James, to get to know you. And for everybody out there, again, go to YouTube. It's HH Wheels and over 200 videos. And we're not talking about, 230-second episodes. We're talking real meaty stuff. You'll be pleasantly surprised by the production values. It's a blast. It's a lot of fun. It's our favorite recent wormhole. So Caroline and James, thank you both. It was wonderful to meet you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Doug. Thanks, Christian.
Yeah.
We had a blast.
We're going to have you back.
Yeah. He's taking the words out of my mouth. Yeah. What I would love to do is have you back in, is kind of your show evolves and our show evolves. I would love to just have you back and see, maybe if the 33 cars becomes 66 cars, becomes 128 cars or whatever it is, if we can just make that double. That's a joke. Sorry. Oh, somebody give him CPR quickly. Oh God. Okay.
Let's get the Viper and the 356 done first, Christian. Take it easy.
Yeah, we got to end this show before somebody gets hurt. You have just heard To All the Cars I've Loved Before, the high revving, low mileage, late model heard round the world. Yes, authoritative podcast on automotive nostalgia. He is Doug. Reach him at Doug@carslove.com. I'm Christian. Reach me at Christian@carslove.com. She was Caroline. There were James, our new favorite people. Please follow and tell a friend. Write a review. Check out our Linktree, linktr.ee/carsloved. I'm sure we will see you at the next local car show, showroom, race strip, or concourse. Appreciate your listening, and we will see you next time.